Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm talking about financial freedom today. And guess what? I love money. Say it with me. I love money. Everyone. I love money. As loud as you can now. I love money. I love money. I love money. Guess what? We all love money, right? So why can't we talk about it? Why is it so hard to talk about money to your parents, to your friends? Why is it hard to set targets around what you want to do with money? We're living in the 21st century where everything is open, everything is available. We can go out, we can go to the bank, we can try and get money from the bank via a loan. We can go to our parents and we can say, would you lend me some money? We could ask our friends, would you lend me some money? Where will that get you though? It gets you into debt. Debt is a very dangerous thing. And it stops you from being financially free. Now, many people in this audience, all the students, you guys are going to go off to university very, very soon. And you have to be financially capable. Being financially capable is actually a very difficult task. Guess what? Adults still suffer because they're not financially capable. And what I want you guys to understand is becoming financially capable starts now. It starts when you're 11 years old, when you're 12 years old. That's when financial capability actually starts. Hands up if you get pocket money from your parents here. Hands up, hands right up. Keep them up if you put it in the bank and save it. That is actually a little bit more than I expected. So that we've got 1, 2, 3. We've got 4 people in this room that actually save it. Well done to you guys. I'm just going to ask the question now. Young man, you put your hand up. What are you actually saving that money for? For college. Excellent. And there was a gentleman that put his hand up over there. What are you actually saving that money for? Sorry, pardon me? Not specifically anything. Okay, excellent. That's really good to know that you're actually saving, and it could be for the future for something that you want to buy. Now, in order to become financially capable, you've got to look at your current financial status. Where are you financially? How much money do you actually have? What do you need to spend on a daily, on a weekly, or a monthly basis? When you go off to uni, you're going to be paying something called rent. Guess what? It's quite difficult to pay rent. And sometimes it's easy to spend your rent because many adults do that as well. And then they get into debt because they're not financially capable of taking care of that money. Now, what you've got to do is set yourself a clear goal. You've got to turn around and say, actually, this is what I want to achieve. When I was kind of your age, when I was about 18 or 19, one of the things that I actually put down, and this was after a beautiful night out at the Ministry of Sound at South Bank, London. It was a fantastic night. I must have come back home about 2 o'clock in the morning after a lot of dancing. And guess what I wrote in my little journal there? I wrote in my journal that by the time I'm 25, I want £25,000 in liquid cash in my bank account. That's what I wanted. That was my target. My target was to have £25,000 in my bank regardless. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but that's what I need. And I made sure I achieved that target. That money helped me buy my first ever house. I bought my first ever house when I was 23. I literally left uni and bought a house straight away because I managed to save that money. It feels really easy to say that at the moment, but actually when I'm thinking about the current economic climate around the world, doing that now is actually a very, very hard task. Purchasing your first home without the assistance of a bank without the assistance of your parents is actually a very, very hard task. And something that you guys will need to concentrate on when you try and save that money and put it away in the bank. You can only save little bits, little baby bits at a time. You won't be able to save massive chunks. It's not going to happen. But if you continue with those little bits, soon they'll become a big bit. Okay? Now, the other side of it is, when you do go off to university, is making sure that you have something known as an emergency fund. Okay? Something that you can actually tap into. Should something go wrong over the course of a month, you've got some additional money set aside which you can access in the case of an emergency. Okay? Really, really important. Okay? The next thing you've got to make sure that you try and do, and I include the fact that you're going to be studying and spending money, is try and invest. Look for investments whilst you're at university. Look at things that you could possibly put your money into that will give you some kind of return on a monthly basis. If you're able to do that, it means you'll have some kind of passive income over the course of your studies. And it's actually quite important that you think about this kind of thing. Because as you get older and once you start finishing uni, you're going to get lots and lots of opportunities. And when you get these opportunities, you're going to need to have some kind of cash in your pocket in order to access those opportunities. Okay? So, something that we're doing a lot of in my lessons is we prepare something called business plans. Okay? These business plans are there in order for you to set up and run a business. Okay? They're there so that you can take it to the bank and say, can you give me some money? Okay, that's why we have a business plan. Now imagine running your life with a business plan. Imagine writing down all of your targets, exactly what you want to achieve on a year-on-year basis for the next 10 years. Imagine doing that. Imagine being 19 and then having this long-term plan in place and being able to be financially capable so that you're able to invest your money as you come outside of uni and after you've spent at least 2 or 3 years working. Imagine getting to that point where you can turn around and say, actually, I'm going to buy that house. I'm going to buy that car. I can afford to do it now. I am less than 30 years old. And you're able to turn around and say, I'm going to buy that house. Okay, so it's something that's really, really quite interesting. Now, I want to ask Mr. Steve to come over and let's have a little conversation. The conversation is going to be around business. So, I've been involved in business for a number of years in my life. And I was quite lucky because I managed to save and invest heavily when I was kind of your age. Now, Mr. Steve, I've got some questions that I'd like to ask you, if that's okay.
That's okay.
Now, when was your first experience of business?
My first experience of business was, I guess, about, well, I first went into teaching, actually. And so I'm not sure you call that business. I decided I didn't really enjoy teaching very much, so I guess it was about 4 years after I left university. So I'd be 23, 24 years old.
Okay, excellent. So stay with me, sir. My first experience of business was when I was 13 years old. When I was 13 years old, I set up and ran my first ever business. Okay? At 13 years old, guess what? I was also employed. So I was working as well. So my first experience was when I was 13.
Well, I did something similar by cleaning cars.
Excellent, excellent. So guess what? The work life starts really early. And if you want to make money, and if you want to stick to that thing about I love money, then you've got to start early, right?
Well, you know, when I went to university in the UK in the 60s, the government had a means test for your parents, which meant they decided how much your parents contributed. Now, I had a father who was an engineer and a mother who worked in the law profession, so they had to, you know, put quite a bit of money out for my education. So I determined that every summer, every vacation, particularly summer and Christmas when I worked for the post office, I would try and earn enough money that they didn't have to pay anything more than the means test, you know. So I guess, you know, a bit like you know, I was doing it from I went up to university when I was 18, so I was doing it from then as well.
And did you find a sense of pride in ensuring that you could pay for your own education with your money?
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yeah. And it, you know, it started me off, you know, well, so that I managed to make enough money usually that I could put some into the bank, as you said, so you've got a little safety net there in case something unforeseen happens.
Yeah. So again, I'm now going to talk about actual business. So in business, we have targets as well. Okay, and we have to achieve these targets in order to make sure that our company is a success and it doesn't go downhill. So I would like to ask you the question: when did your first ever business start?
Well, I guess I was contributing from day one, but as I, you know, got promotions, I guess the real time you're really running a business is when you sort of get into general management. Because then you may be not running the whole business, but you're running a chunk of the business. Yeah. And that probably happened. I was lucky I got a break to become a marketing manager, running quite a big marketing department when I was 28.
Okay, excellent, excellent. So that's quite interesting. I set up and I started running my first official business when I was 27 years old. Okay, so again, a very similar age that we did that. Now, can I ask another very personal question? I know we don't like to talk about money, but when did you make your first million?
When did I make my first million? I guess probably about 20 years ago.
Okay, so...
you know, and that was a combination of cash and properties and things like that, and savings.
Excellent. Yeah. So I was 33 when I was asset valued at just over £1 million. So that's 33. That's 10 years worth of work. Okay, so in 10 years, you can achieve an asset portfolio of up to £1 million. Okay, so it's actually doable. You can do it as well. Okay, so thank you very much for your time, sir. Okay, so what does financial freedom look like for me? Financial freedom looks, for me, is a choice. Okay, you get to a certain point where, can you ever say that it's enough? Can you ever look at your bank and say, actually, that's enough, I don't need any more? Anyone? Has anyone got to a place in life where they turn around, look at their bank and say, that's enough? No one does. Okay, it doesn't matter how much money you actually earn and how many zeros are in that bank account, you still turn around and say, actually, it might not be enough. So financial freedom for me is turning around and saying to myself that I have enough, I do enough, and that I am enough. So I want you guys to repeat that as well. I have enough, I do enough, I am enough. A little bit louder, ladies and gentlemen. I have enough. I am enough. I do enough. Okay, so financial freedom and abundance is not a mindset. It's actually a feeling. You can turn around and feel abundant with £0 in your bank. So it's a feeling. Okay? The mindset is something that you have to prepare very early on in life to make sure that you achieve those targets. And remember, you must write down exactly what you want to achieve in order for you to achieve it. If you don't write that number, that figure down, you're not going to achieve it. If you don't write down that by the age of 25, I want this much in my bank, it's not going to happen. And you need to forward plan, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much. I love money. I love money. Thank you so much.